What if the most powerful pharmacy in the universe wasn't in a building, but locked inside your very own cells, waiting for the right key? In the next few minutes, you won't just discover this key, you will learn how to use it. We will reveal how cutting-edge physics confirms an ancient truth. Your body was designed to heal itself. You just need to learn its language. Have you ever felt like your body is fighting against you? Stay with us, and you may realize it has always been waiting for your orders. There is a story many of us are told, a story so pervasive we mistake it for the truth. It begins the moment we receive a diagnosis, or when we look at our family history and see a pattern of illness. The story is this: our body is a machine, and we have simply inherited a faulty one. Like a car that rolled off the assembly line with a flawed engine, we are told we must simply manage the defect. We are handed a manual of limitations, a prescription for maintenance, and a prognosis that defines the boundaries of our life. In this story, we are not the driver. We are merely passengers in a vehicle we cannot fix, heading toward a destination we did not choose. Our genetics become our destiny. Our diagnosis becomes our identity. But what if this story, the one told in sterile offices under fluorescent lights, is missing the most important chapter? Modern science has a name for the dark twin of the placebo effect. It is called the nocebo effect. It is the measurable, documented phenomenon where the simple belief that something will harm you can create actual physical harm. A sugar pill, when presented as a toxin, can induce nausea. A negative diagnosis, when accepted as a final verdict, can accelerate the very condition it describes. Think about what this truly means. The mind, through the power of belief alone, can speak a language the body understands so perfectly that it will create sickness out of nothing. It proves that our internal state is not a passive bystander. It is an active participant in our biology. As the ancient sages would remind us, the world without is a mirror of the world within. The nocebo effect is simply science observing this truth in real time. This power of the mind challenges a deep-seated philosophy that has governed our thinking for centuries, the idea of material determinism. This is the belief that you are nothing more than the sum of your physical parts. Your consciousness is just a ghost in the machine, a temporary side effect of chemical reactions in your brain. In this view, there is no room for a deeper intelligence, no space for a you that exists beyond the physical. You are your brain. You are your DNA. And when they break, you are broken. While this view may seem rational, it creates a silent prison. It strips us of our power, our purpose, and our participation in our own healing. It leaves us as victims of a random, mechanical universe. But the existence of the nocebo effect presents a profound paradox. It is the ghost in the machine suddenly taking the wheel. It is the undeniable evidence that our perception, our story, is a biological force as real as any medicine. This contradiction opens a door. If a negative belief can author a negative reality in the body, what could a different belief create? If we are not merely the machine, then perhaps we are the mechanic, or maybe something more. This leads us to the most important question of all. If we are not just our genetic code, then who or what is truly in control? To find the one in control, we must look not to the world we see, but to the invisible architecture that holds it together. We must go to the very foundation of reality, to the subatomic realm, where the rules of our world dissolve into a dance of pure potential. Here, science has discovered a phenomenon so strange it borders on the mystical. It is called quantum entanglement. Imagine two particles of light born from the same event. In that moment of creation, they become eternally linked. They are like cosmic twins. Now you can separate them. You can send one to the other side of a laboratory or to the other side of the galaxy. It makes no difference. The moment you observe one particle and it chooses a state, a spin, a direction, its twin, no matter how distant, instantly chooses the opposite state. Instantly. Faster than the speed of light. There is no signal sent between them. No message travels through space. It is as if they are not two separate things at all, but two expressions of a single unified reality that exists outside our concepts of space and time. This idea was so profoundly unsettling that it troubled the architect of our modern universe, Albert Einstein. He famously called it spooky action at a distance. To him, it was a paradox, a ghost in the machine of physics that seemed to violate the most fundamental laws of the cosmos. He was certain it must be a flaw in the theory. But here is where the story takes a turn. What Einstein saw as a flaw, modern experiments have confirmed, time and time again. This spooky connection is not a ghost in the physics. It is a fundamental feature of our universe. The interconnectedness is real. And at this point, the line between the laboratory and the temple begins to blur. For what our science is just now proving with instruments of immense precision, ancient wisdom has known for millennia. The Hermetic teachings of old tell us, as above, so below, meaning the patterns of the cosmos are reflected in the smallest parts of creation. A deeper principle states, the all is in all, meaning the entire universe, the universal consciousness, is present within every particle, every atom, every cell. Entanglement is not a strange quirk. It is the physical evidence of this spiritual truth. The connection isn't something we have to build. It is the very nature of our existence. In Buddhist philosophy, there is a beautiful metaphor for this reality. Indra's net. It is a vast, infinite web that stretches across all of existence. And at every intersection of its threads, there is a single, perfect jewel. If you were to look closely into the surface of any one jewel, you would see reflected within it every other jewel in the entire net. Each of us, each cell in our body, is one of these jewels. We are not separate islands of biology. We are a perfect reflection of the whole, and the whole is perfectly reflected within us. This brings us to a crucial realization. If the smallest particles that make up our world are bound by this profound, invisible connection, why would we ever believe that the cells that make up our bodies are somehow exempt from this law? Why do we believe our thoughts are isolated events, trapped inside our skulls, when the very atoms that form our brain are part of this universal entangled dance? For a long time, we were told a simple story about our biology. We were told our DNA was a fixed blueprint, an unchangeable architectural plan handed down to us at birth. In this story, the nucleus of the cell was the command center, and the genes within it were the absolute rulers of our physical fate. But like all great revolutions in understanding, this one began with a question from a pioneer who dared to look closer. That pioneer was the cellular biologist Dr. Bruce Lipton. Working with stem cells, he noticed something that defied the central dogma of his field. He saw that the fate of a cell was not determined by its genes, but by the environment it was placed in. A single stem cell could become a bone cell, a muscle cell, or a fat cell, depending entirely on the culture medium, the signals it received from its world. The blueprint was not the commander. It was the library, and something else was deciding which books to read. To truly grasp this, we must replace the old metaphor of the blueprint with something far more elegant, more alive. Imagine your DNA is not a rigid set of instructions, but a magnificent grand piano sitting in the center of every cell. This piano contains every possible note, every potential chord. The keys represent your genes, the potential for health, the potential for illness, the potential for genius, the potential for joy. The piano itself is your genetic inheritance. But you are not the piano, you are the musician. This is the secret of epigenetics, a field whose very name means control above the gene. It reveals that the cell's true brain is not its nucleus, but its membrane. the sensitive, intelligent skin that perceives the world. The environment, the signals from outside and inside your body, is what composes the music. And this music is what tells your genes which keys to play. Your cells are the audience, listening to every single note. A state of fear, of chronic stress from a demanding job or a painful relationship, plays a frantic, dissonant melody. The music of cortisol and adrenaline slams down on the keys of inflammation and defense. It is a song that tells the cells to prepare for war, to shut down growth, to hoard resources, and to fight for survival. But a state of love, of gratitude, of deep inner peace, plays a beautiful, harmonious sonata. The music of oxytocin and dopamine gently presses the keys of regeneration and repair. It is a song that tells the cells it is safe to thrive, to build, to heal, and to express their fullest vitality. The fingers that touch these genetic keys are proteins, and they take their orders directly from the signals the cell membrane receives from your blood. The chemistry of your blood is determined by the chemistry of your thoughts and emotions. Herein lies a truth so profound it can change everything. Your genetic inheritance is not a sentence, but a songbook of infinite possibilities. You are not defined by the keys on the piano. You are defined by the music you choose to play. So, the cells are listening. They are waiting for the music. But this begs the most important question of all. What if the musician isn't consciously you? What if the song that's been playing day after day was composed long ago? What if the one at the piano is a ghost from the past? The composer of this relentless, unconscious music is the echo of our past. It is the energy of every moment that was too much, too fast, too soon for our nervous system to process. We call this energy trauma. But we must be very clear here. Trauma is not the story of what happened to you. It is not the memory you hold in your mind. Trauma is the energetic imprint left behind in your body. It is the body still bracing for an impact that has long since passed. It is a state of survival that was never allowed to complete its cycle and come to a resolution of peace and safety. This is the phantom that sits at the piano. The ghost of that unresolved energy stays at the keys day and night, playing the same frantic chord of survival. The chord of cortisol, the chord of adrenaline. This is the music of fight or flight, a state that was meant to be temporary, but for many has become the constant background hum of their existence. And your cells, the ever-faithful audience, hear this music. They do not judge it. They do not question it. They simply respond. When the music of danger plays, they shift into a state of defense. The body's resources are diverted away from long-term projects like regeneration, deep healing, and a robust immune system. All energy is routed to the immediate crisis. The problem is, for the traumatized nervous system, the crisis is never over. This is what the new science of somatic experience teaches us. The issues are literally in our tissues. The emotional charge of past events, if not processed, becomes stored as physical tension, as chronic inflammation, as a blueprint for illness. And here, once again, we see our modern understanding arriving at a destination where the mystics have been waiting for us. What the ancients spoke of as clearing karma, or breaking ancestral curses, was their language for this very process. They understood that the energetic echoes of suffering could be passed down through generations, not through magic, but through the lived, embodied experience of a family line. The curse was simply the unhealed trauma, the song of survival being taught from one nervous system to the next. To break the curse was to be the one who finally learned to play a new song. And so we find ourselves here. Our bodies are trapped, listening to a symphony of old sorrows, a song of survival on endless repeat. This brings us to the edge of our transformation. How do we gently ask the ghost to leave the piano? How do we stop the music, not by force, but by introducing a new symphony so powerful, so coherent, that the old song simply fades into silence. So, how do we introduce a new symphony to the body? Where do we find this new musician, this master conductor capable of overriding the phantom of the past? For centuries, we have looked to the mind, believing the brain to be the sole seat of control. But the new science of our biology is pointing us to a different, more ancient throne of power. It is pointing to the heart. For decades, pioneering researchers at the HeartMath Institute have been studying the human heart not as a simple pump, but as a profoundly intelligent center of perception and communication. What they have found is nothing short of revolutionary. Using sensitive instruments, they have documented that the heart produces a powerful electromagnetic field, by far the most powerful in the entire body. It is approximately 60 times greater electrically and 5,000 times greater magnetically than the field produced by the brain. This is not a metaphor. It is measurable physics. Your heart is broadcasting a signal, an energetic field that permeates every single cell in your body. This field doesn't stop at your skin. It radiates out from you in all directions, extending for several feet, creating a literal atmosphere of your internal state that others can feel and sense. You are not just living in the world, you are broadcasting your reality into it. But the most critical discovery is not the strength of the field, but its quality. The researchers found that the rhythm of our heart changes dramatically depending on what we are feeling. When we experience stressful emotions like frustration, fear, or anger, our heart rate pattern becomes chaotic and disordered. It is an incoherent signal, like an orchestra with no conductor, where every instrument plays a different jarring tune. This signal of chaos is what floods our cells during times of stress. However, when we experience regenerative emotions like gratitude, compassion, appreciation, or love, the heart's rhythm instantly changes. It becomes smooth, ordered, and harmonious. This is a state they call heart coherence. It is the signal of deep safety and alignment. It is the sound of the entire orchestra playing a beautiful, powerful symphony in perfect unison. This coherent signal is the most powerful healing frequency the body can produce. It is the music that quiets the phantom at the piano. And here again, we find our most advanced science arriving at a truth the ancients held as sacred. Across cultures and millennia, the heart has always been revered as the true center of our being. The ancient Egyptians believed the heart, not the brain, would be weighed in the afterlife to determine the soul's worth. The Sufi poets spoke of the heart as the gateway to the divine. The Christian mystics wrote of the Sacred Heart as the seat of unconditional love and wisdom. They knew intuitively what we are now measuring in laboratories. This leads us to a profound moment of clarity. A wise distinction we must all learn to make. Your brain thinks, but your heart knows. Your brain is a processor of past data and a projector of future fears. It is an incredible tool for strategy and survival, but it lives in the realm of what was and what might be. Your heart is an organ of perception, a gateway to the wisdom of the present moment. It feels the truth. The body, in its infinite intelligence, was designed to follow the coherent wisdom of the heart, not the chaotic fears of the mind. It is the heart, then, that is the true master conductor. It is the heart's coherent broadcast that sends the definitive signal of safety to the nervous system, the signal that allows the ghost of the past to finally leave its post. It is the heart that composes the music that will either heal you or keep you trapped in the old song of survival. The principles we have explored are beautiful. The interconnectedness of quantum physics, the responsiveness of our epigenetics, the intelligence of the heart, they paint an elegant picture of a reality where we are active participants in our own well-being. But for the human mind, which has been taught the story of its own powerlessness, theory is often not enough. We seek proof. We seek evidence that these ideas can be translated from the realm of the possible into the world of the real. This is where the work of a researcher like Dr. Joe Dispenza becomes a crucial bridge. Part neuroscientist, part mystic, he has dedicated his life to studying not the mechanics of disease, but the mechanics of profound change. He has traveled the world, documenting the stories of ordinary people who have done the extraordinary, healing themselves from conditions that medical science had deemed chronic, incurable, or terminal. These are not mere anecdotes. They are case studies that fall into a category well known but poorly understood in medicine: spontaneous remission. These are the documented instances, found in medical journals worldwide, where illnesses simply vanish without a clear medical reason. They are the anomalies, the outliers, the cases that are often dismissed because they do not fit the established model of disease. But as a true scientist knows, the outlier is often where the next great discovery is hiding. Dr. Dispenza's work has been to find the common thread among these impossible recoveries. He asked a simple question: what did these people do? Not on the outside, but on the inside. What was the internal technology they used to change their external reality? The answer he found again and again was that these individuals had mastered the art of mental rehearsal. But this was not simply positive thinking. It was something far deeper. It was a full sensory experience. Neuroscience has a foundational principle known as Hebb's Law, often simplified to: nerve cells that fire together, wire together. Every thought, every feeling, creates a chemical signal that causes specific networks of neurons in your brain to fire. The more you repeat a thought or feeling, the stronger those connections become. You are literally shaping your brain moment by moment. Studies have shown that if a person sits in a chair and mentally rehearses playing a piece of piano music every day, their brain will form the same new neural circuits as a person who physically practices the piano. The brain, in its remarkable plasticity, does not know the difference between what is imagined and what is real. Now apply this to healing. The individuals in these studies did not just think, "I am healthy." They asked themselves, what would it feel like to be healthy? What is the emotion of my future healed self? And then they practiced feeling that emotion, here and now. They would sit for minutes or hours each day, bathing their bodies in the gratitude, the joy, the freedom of their healing before it had physically occurred. In doing this, they were doing something profound. They were combining a clear intention, healing, with an elevated emotion, gratitude. This combination is what creates a new electromagnetic signature. They were using their heart's coherence to broadcast the signal of their future into the quantum field. They were providing their body with the precise emotional signature of its future, commanding the cells to build a new reality based on this new information. And the body, as the faithful and non-judgmental servant, began to respond to this new music. It began to build a physical reality that matched the new emotional signal. The old genetic expression of illness, which was being sustained by the emotions of the past, began to fall away. The body began to select a new potential from the quantum field and make it real. This is the ancient wisdom of all great spiritual traditions, spoken in the language of neuroscience. The mystics taught us to act as if, to feel the wish fulfilled. What was once a spiritual directive is now a scientific protocol for transformation. These stories prove that it is possible. They prove that there is a predictable, repeatable process for creating change from the inside out. They prove that we are not at the mercy of the old programs. We can become the authors of a new one. So the evidence is before us. The possibility is real. This leaves us with the final, most important question. How do we step out of the audience of our lives and become our own miracle? What is the first practical step? We have journeyed from the vast, interconnected cosmos to the intimate, intelligent world within our own selves. And now we arrive at the central truth, the moment where all these threads weave together into a single, breathtaking tapestry of self. This is the great revelation. The universe, as revealed by quantum entanglement, is not a collection of separate objects, but a single, indivisible whole. It is a grand piano of infinite potential, where every note is connected to every other note. Your body, as revealed by epigenetics, is your own personal instrument in this cosmic orchestra. It is not a fixed, predetermined machine. It is a responsive, living expression of consciousness, designed to play whatever music is offered to it. Your past, as revealed by the science of trauma, shows us that for many of us, a phantom musician has been playing a song of survival on our instrument for a very long time. A song of fear, of lack, of defense. A song that was necessary once, but has now become a prison of our own biology. And your heart, as revealed by the science of coherence, is your birthright. It is your invitation to step forward, to gently dismiss the phantom, and to sit down at the piano of your own life. It is your chance to place your hands on the keys and finally choose the music you wish to play. Here is the truth you must understand in every cell of your being. Healing is not a battle. It is not a fight against a disease. That is the old story, the story of separation. To fight against illness is to play the music of struggle, of resistance, which is just another form of stress. The true path of healing is to become so consumed with playing a new song, a song of such profound love, coherence, and gratitude, that the old dissonant melody of the illness simply has no room to exist. It is not conquered. It is simply rendered obsolete. It cannot survive in the new environment, the new music you are creating. You are not broken. You are not a victim of your genes. You are a master musician who has simply forgotten how to play. You are the musician, you are the music, and you are the instrument all at once. The separation between you and your healing, between the life you have and the life you want, is an illusion. You are not trying to get health from somewhere outside of you. You are remembering how to allow the intelligence that created your body in the first place, the same intelligence that is beating your heart right now, to do its perfect work, unimpeded by the noise of the past. This is your power. This is your moment of creation. You are standing at the threshold, ready to compose a new symphony. So how do we begin? How do we sit at this piano and compose a new reality? We begin with a practice, a simple yet profoundly powerful ritual of creation. I invite you to see this not as a mere relaxation exercise. This is a deliberate act of cellular attunement. It is a 5-minute ritual to activate the latent potential that lies sleeping in your DNA. Wherever you are, you can do this right now. You can begin by simply closing your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. Now, bring your attention away from the world outside and away from the thoughts in your mind, and gently place your awareness in the center of your chest, the space of your heart. Don't try to feel anything in particular. Just rest your focus there, as if you are listening to a quiet room. With your attention resting in your heart, begin to breathe, a little slower and a little deeper than you normally would. And as you breathe in, imagine you are drawing the breath directly into the center of your chest. And as you breathe out, imagine the breath flowing out from that same space, breathing in through the heart, breathing out from the heart. Just for a few moments, attune yourself to this simple, life-giving rhythm. Now, as you continue this heart-focused breathing, we will add the final, most powerful element. I want you to consciously generate a feeling of elevated emotion. Bring to mind something or someone that evokes a genuine sense of gratitude, or appreciation, or care. It could be the face of a loved one, the memory of a beloved pet, the feeling of the sun on your skin, or a moment of profound beauty you once witnessed. Don't just think about it as a memory. Re-experience it now. Allow the feeling of that gratitude, that love, to wash over you. Let it fill the space of your heart. Stay with that feeling. Breathe it in. This is not just a pleasant sensation. In this very moment, you are actively changing your biology. This elevated emotion is creating coherence in your heart's rhythm. You are generating a powerful, orderly electromagnetic signal and broadcasting it to every single one of the 50 trillion cells in your body. You are sending them the most powerful message they can receive. The message that you are safe. The message that you are whole. The message that it is time to stop preparing for war and to begin the work of creation. This is what it means to play a new song. In this state of heart coherence, you are sending the signal that turns off the genes of stress and turns on the genes of growth and repair. You are activating your body's innate God-given programs for regeneration. This is DNA activation, not as a mystical concept, but as a lived biological reality. This is you taking your seat as the musician of your own well-being. Now, we must speak of the journey itself. Because the path of transformation is rarely a straight line ascending into the light. There will be a moment after you begin this practice, after you commit to playing this new song, where the old music will seem to return. You will do this work, and perhaps an old symptom will flare up. You will feel the coherence, and then a wave of fear or doubt will wash over you. In that moment, the analytical mind, the part of you that was trained in the old story of powerlessness, will rush in with its verdict. See, it will say, "It's not working. You are still broken. The old reality is the only reality." This is the most critical moment in your journey, and you must understand what is truly happening. This is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that the body is beginning to work. It is a sign of release. Imagine your body as a house that you have decided to finally clean after years of neglect. When you first begin, you open the windows and shake out the rugs. What happens? Dust flies everywhere. The air gets thicker before it gets clearer. The house seems dirtier in the process of being cleaned. The return of an old symptom, an old emotion, is the dust. It is the energetic signature of the past trauma finally being stirred up and escorted out of your system. Healing is not a linear progression. It is a process of purification. The body must release the old to make room for the new. So when this happens, your task is not to fall back into fear. Your task is to change your relationship to the experience. See that pain, that symptom, that wave of doubt, not as an enemy, but as a messenger from the past. It is a part of the old song, playing its final fading notes as it leaves the concert hall of your body. Instead of resisting it, you can meet it with a new awareness. You can say to it silently, "I see you. I acknowledge you. Thank you for the message that you are leaving my body." And then, with gentle determination, you place your hands back on the piano. You bring your awareness back to your heart, and you begin, once again, to play the new song of coherence and gratitude. This act transforms the shadow into an ally. It reframes the challenge not as a setback, but as evidence of your progress. You are not failing. You are purging. You are not broken. You are cleansing. And every time you choose to play the new song in the face of the old, you are strengthening the neural pathways of your new reality and weakening the ones of the past. You are teaching your body, with unwavering compassion, who is now the master of the house. And so we leave you with this truth. The story of your body is not a war story. It is a love story. A story of communication, of harmony, and of the incredible power of a consciousness that is learning to remember itself. Remember this above all else. Your genes are the keys. Your emotions are the music. And your coherent heart is the genius musician you have always been. You are not here to fight the darkness, but to turn on the light. You are not here to wage war on your body, but to teach it the song of its own divinity. Perhaps the great Sufi poet Hafiz said it best when he wrote, "I am a hole in a flute that the Christ's breath moves through. Listen to this music." As you move from this space back into your day, hold this simple thought in your awareness. Ask yourself, not with judgment, but with gentle curiosity. What music will my body learn to sing today? If this message has awakened something within you, join us in the comments below. Declare your truth by writing, "I am the musician." Let us create a collective field of sovereignty over our own well-being. And if you are ready to continue your journey and truly master your instrument, subscribe to Mystic Sages and become a part of this growing community of creators. Your symphony is just beginning.